This is my original copy of Pokemon Fire Red from when I was a kid. It even has all these little smears and smudges on it from when I ripped the sticker off at some point. I don't know why, I used to do this to all my old games. That's something I definitely regret, but this is one of the first games I ever played in my entire life. I was probably 3 years old. When I started playing games like Pokemon Fire Red, I was not even in preschool yet. I was that young. I could not read at all or learn really how to do anything on my own. At that time in my life, games like Fire Red and Leaf Green, they were all my brother's games, because I was way too young to get anything like this for myself, but I have amazing memories with this. Here's Fire Red on my extremely old and worn out Game Boy. You can see there are scratch marks all over the place. One of my old memories on this exact copy of Pokemon Fire Red is when I was a kid, I was in the Safari Zone and I actually found a rare shiny. Well, the Pokemon itself wasn't rare at all, but the fact that it was in an old game like this means the odds were 1 in 8,192. At this time in my life, there is no way that I could know how to spell any word besides my own name, and even that's not for sure. How it all went down was, I was in the Safari Zone just walking around, you know, doing my own thing, minding my own business, and out of nowhere, I found a shiny Nidoran male. Luckily, I knew what this was. I knew what a shiny Pokemon was because at some point in the past, my brother actually found a shiny Magmar. At this point, I screamed so loud in pure joy and excitement, and the first thing I did was go and show my brother because he knew what a shiny was and how valuable. No one else in the whole family would ever have a reaction like he did because no one else knew the value of shiny Pokemon in full odds games like this. Something else I also had to be very careful with is my brother and I both would always forget how bait and rocks work. We could not remember which one would get the Pokemon more likely to stay and which one would get it more likely to leave, so there was no way I was going to throw bait or rocks. What I did was throw a Pokeball and just pray that it was going to work and the Pokemon was not going to escape and run away, and guess what happened? Thankfully, on the very first Pokeball, my Nidoran male was actually caught and it did not run away. I don't think I can even explain with words how excited I was, because at this time in my life, I had no real responsibilities. I was 3 years old. This was the coolest thing pretty much in my life at this point because, you know, I had never done anything cool on my own, and this felt so valuable to me. I'm honestly so happy I found a shiny Pokemon like this in a full odds game so early on in my life, because I had nothing really to my own name at the time. This felt so cool to have as my own. I knew my brother had his shiny Magmar, and I was very jealous of it because he had Leaf Green and I had Fire Red, and I had no shinies. At this time, the only word I knew how to spell was my own name, Kevin, so when I got to the nickname menu, I had no idea what to type. I knew I wanted to give it some nickname though, and my brother was the only person available to help, so I told him to type in Nidoshiny. I knew it was a shiny Pokemon, and I knew it was a Nidoran, so, you know, I just combined them, and Nidoshiny was born. Also, look at this, we just got a Dragonair. I had no idea my Dratini was that close to evolving, what the heck. Anyway, I just wanted a quick nickname like Nidoshiny, and it sounded cool to me, and, you know, doing a nickname really quick allowed me to get out of that menu and go check out the Pokemon. I remember saving the game multiple times because my brother told me that sometimes the first time you save doesn't actually do anything, which was definitely not true. I probably saved 4 or 5 times in a row though, just to make sure my Pokemon was safe. After probably the 5th save, I turned my game off and back on just to make sure my Nidoran was still there, and it was. I looked in my bag, found a rare candy, and turned it into Nidorino, because at this time, I believe it was around level 30 or 31, so it could instantly evolve with a rare candy. And after that, I could just give it a Moonstone, so in just a matter of a few minutes, my Nidoran was fully evolved into Nidoshiny the Nidoking. It looked so cool, and the most exciting part to me was that I had no idea what Nidorino or Nidoking would look like as shiny Pokemon. I'd never seen them before. All I can remember from this point forward is that I kind of just kept playing Pokemon like normal, beating the game and getting to the Sevi Islands and just using my Nidoshiny. But for some reason that I cannot explain, one day I asked my brother for help restarting my save file. Bruh. I don't really have a good explanation for this as for why, but all I knew is that I wanted to get back to the beginning of the game and pick a different starter that I didn't already have, which I think was Charmander. All I knew is that I wanted to get back to the beginning of the game as quickly as possible on that same day because I had never had a Bulbasaur or Squirtle before. Little did my 3-year-old self know, this would be the worst decision I'd ever made in my life up to that point. After playing for a little while, I quickly found out that I no longer had Nidoshiny in my PC boxes. It was nowhere to be seen. I looked around endlessly in every box, closing out of the PC and reopening it, making sure I didn't miss anything. I think reality started to hit because I realized Nidoshiny was gone and there was nowhere I could look to actually find it. I was pretty upset at this point, and I knew I was pretty far away from the point in the game where I could find a Nidoran again, and even if I did, there's no way I'd find another shiny. For how young I was and that this was the first Pokemon game I really ever played, this was pretty upsetting to me. I didn't really know what to do. I did not really have the motivation to keep on playing because I had no idea why I even did this. I was kind of just regretting it and wishing I had my Pokemon back. At some point in the future, I wasn't really satisfied with that save file, and I restarted it yet again, and on Route 1, I actually found a shiny Rattata. This of course was very exciting for me, and luckily I just went up to Vermilion City and actually delivered Oak's parcel, so I had 5 Pokeballs in my bag. I caught the Rattata, everything went well, and even though I was only 3 or 4, I knew Rattata was not a good Pokemon. I could use it and have this as a new shiny Pokemon for the first time, but I knew I would not really be happy with Eradicate on my team. I probably played to the point where you get on the SS and boat, but at some point Pokemon Emerald were actually sold at our local stores, and I had this game now. My time was being consumed by Pokemon Emerald. I wasn't really thinking about Fire Red and Leaf Green, and at that point my dream for Nidoshiny kinda moved on. It's not that I didn't care about the Pokemon anymore, it was just the fact that I really had no hope, because at some point I found out how rare it actually was. I didn't really understand what 1 out of 8,192 really meant though. I didn't even know how to say that. At some point though, you know, I grew up a little more, I learned what that actually meant and how rare that really was. I was not shiny hunting it, I was just doing random encounters like normal in the Safari Zone, and I found it, so I lost hope in ever finding it again. From that point on, everything was true. Anytime I played Fire Red and Leaf Green in the future and roamed around in the Safari Zone, I just found regular encounters like these Chanseys right here. I grew up, and Nidoshiny was nothing more than just a memory for a very long time. That is, until just last year in 2022. I was never super consistent with it, but for a while I actually used to stream over on Twitch. I've not done this in quite a long time now. I was never super well known or anything, but I would do live streams over on Twitch sometimes where I would do full odd shiny hunts on games like Fire Red and Leaf Green. Over time, I would do my own shiny hunts and watch other shiny hunters like Sabian, Sheep Honk Honk, P Macism, and Professor Rex too. Through parts of quarantine, I would use these streams as a way to focus on my online schoolwork while being entertained as well. It was a very cozy, cool environment watching these streams. It inspired me to get involved myself, and I was in a very lucky position where I was able to order some DSs with capture cards installed in them. Over time, I found some very cool shinies, like for example, this shiny Ho-Oh on screen. I love this Pokemon. You saw it earlier on in this video if you were looking closely. Even though I wasn't really known as a shiny hunter for that long, I did have some very cool moments, especially in one event called Safari Week. It's very simple. For a week, or maybe a week and a few extra days, you just go and play a game that has a Safari Zone in it and try to find shinies. The main purpose is for everyone to get together and shiny hunt Pokemon that have a chance of running away from you. I knew this would be the best opportunity, an upcoming moment for me to live stream and actually shiny hunt and try to find a Nidoran male from the past. If I was ever going to find a shiny Nidoran again, it was going to be during this event, Safari Week 2022. After doing some classic, full odd shiny hunting, I ended up finding my first shiny Pokemon. Here it is. I bet you guys can hear the clicking. Oh! Shiny Execute! Oh! Let's go! I was just saying. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what I was just saying. Here it is. I hope you guys can see it. There's Shiny Execute. Here we go. Here we go. I'm filling the ball. Ooh, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Let's go! Oh my gosh. We got a first ball. Oh my gosh. No way. First ball. First ball too. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And there it was. Not my Nidoran male, but some golden eggs. My first ever shiny Execute. At this point, I had never owned an Execute in my life as a shiny, so this was very cool to see, but it wasn't what I was looking for. Nidoshiny. Of course, with hunting with 4 devices at once, I'm finding Pokemon at a speed way quicker than I ever did as a kid. Nidoran also did not really have a rare spawn rate. This Pokemon was very common, I was seeing them pretty often. And at some point, for a few moments, I got to relive a piece of what I felt when I was 3 years old. I would not even know what happened. Oh! Shiny Nidoran! Let's go! This Shiny Nidoran! Boom! This is the shiny that I found in the Safari Zone before. As a kid, I found Shiny Nidoran male. After so many years had passed, I actually found Nidoshiny again in the wild. This of course was very exciting, but also very nerve-wracking. What if for the second time I lose my Nidoshiny? I was pretty nervous knowing that I could throw a ball and this Nidoshiny could be gone forever, just like that. After some hesitation, there was really only one other thing I could do. I don't have the sound. I can't hear anything. Come on. I'm gonna turn around. 3, 2, 1. Wait. Does that mean I caught it? Wait. Oh! In the moment, I could not believe it. My Nidoshiny was finally back in my possession, and the only thing I could do was get out of this menu and save as fast as possible. As you probably noticed, I was playing on a Japanese copy, meaning I could not actually fit the characters of Nidoshiny in the name. So technically, I could not fit the lettering for Nidoshiny, but maybe I could translate it and try to fit the letters. After the stream was over, I used a device I have called an R4 card to actually back up this save file of Pokemon Fire Red. With doing this, I was able to save my save file on my computer as well, and even in a Google Drive document to make sure it was so safe. Doing this ensures that if I ever accidentally deleted my save file, my Pokemon is safe and backed up forever. I was super happy to have this back. This Pokemon, even though it's not the original technically, it still felt perfect to me. This was the closest thing I could have ever done to legitimately getting back my Nidoshiny that I released over 15 years ago. I really appreciate you. If you watched this far into the video, I know it was a long one, but I hope you enjoyed my story. If you can, please comment down below what shiny hunting stories you've had over the years that left a good sentimental value in your heart. Nidoshiny felt so valuable to me because of how young I was. I didn't really own anything to myself, and this was the first thing I felt like I had earned. If you have any stories of shiny Pokemon that you obtained a very long time ago, or just anything that you have that you feel valuable about, please let me know in the comments down below. Definitely consider subscribing to the channel, and like I said before, check out my other videos. I'm sure you'll find one that you enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your stories down below, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace out, everyone.